It's good morning, Chanel Berengaria. Thank you for joining us at Yellow Shelf.
Oh, it's my pleasure. It's good to be here.
Yeah, thank you for saying yes. I'm a fan of your show. You have about 40 episodes in the vault. Uh, Tell us, what do we need to know about this lovely podcast of yours, The Skin I'm In?
So, the Skin I'm In podcast is literally all about helping women find peace, purpose, and permission to live their healthiest, most authentic lives through the stories of other women and now men. So, in season four, in season three, we started bringing some men into the show, and now we've got heaps of men on the show. Never anticipated that that would happen, but basically, we just want to, or even I just want to be able to excavate and have really deep conversations, sometimes really raw conversations, and
Yeah.
challenge the stories and beliefs and the patterns, that really shape us. So it's one of those things that I think to myself, there are some limiting self-belief systems that we have as women that I really want to break away from and help other women break away from too.
Yeah. And look, you have a beautiful presence. If people are listening or they're watching on YouTube, yeah, as a host, you've got this lovely presence. Yeah, what I like is that their stories are real and they're
Mm.
like journey stories. So you're going to hear the good, the bad, and the in between, do you know, and the journeys that people take. Tell us about what inspired you to create the show. Tell us a bit about you and your background as well.
Absolutely. And look, what inspired the show is pretty much my own journey, right? And for me, it was trying to be able to find who I am as a woman, who I want to be as a woman, and going on that healing journey. So I created the podcast as a place that I wish I had in my 20s. Back then I was, excuse me, searching desperately for guidance from women who had walked the path before me. And I didn't have that in my life at the time. And so, interestingly, once I hit my 30s, a lot of things changed. I shed a lot of the shame, the guilt, and all the expectations that I had of myself. And that kind of really grew for me into a place that I'm like, I want to just create a space for women to be able to do that the way that I have. And, constantly seeking permission and advice from people who hadn't lived my life and making decisions based on that advice meant that I felt lost. I was without peace. I had no purpose. And I was just waiting for other people to validate me, to give me permission to step into my own life. And so I've overcome that for myself. And I just want to help other women overcome that too.
Yeah, and look, that comes across. That comes across in your shows, the way you communicate with your guests. Chanel, do you want to tell us about you? You're a certified coach. Tell us about, yeah, like even your career journey and what we need to know there.
So my journey to healing started with a couple of books that I bought when I was living in Montreal at the time, trying to work out what in the world am I doing with my life. But I was thrust into the world of self-development through the Landmark Forum.
Oh,
And I am now a senior graduate of the Landmark Forum. But what that gave me is it gave me a window into being able to see that there are some traumas that I've got from my childhood that I needed to work on. I mean, I come from war, so we escaped a civil war in 1990 and moved to Australia when I was just shy of turning 6. And so there were a lot of things, as an immigrant child, but also as someone who had lived through war that I didn't know was impacting me as a woman and as an adult. And so there were things that I needed to deal with, especially within the family dynamic. And so from Landmark, I was like, wow, I think I need therapy. And then so I was thrust into the world of therapy, schema therapy very specifically, and it changed the way I looked at my triggers. And
oh.
from there, I was just like, I want to help other people to be able to overcome the things that I have overcome and things that I've never even experienced. But that's what led me then to becoming an ICF certified coach. And I now work with women to be able to overcome those things for themselves. But I think the podcast has become more of that space for me. So while I love coaching and I love working with people one on one, having these deep and meaningful conversations, taking listeners on a journey with me, from founders who created a coffee alternative company because they had Graves' disease and they really missed that coffee ritual in the morning and being like, I need to create something. I can't drink coffee. What can I drink?
Yeah.
To people who have founded, really incredible businesses and then now helping other um, business owners to be able to grow their businesses. So there's always a story behind everything. And I love going on that discovery with people.
Yeah. And look, some of your guests are so interesting. I mean, I'll just leave it there with that comment because it's for others to check out. Chanel, do you want to tell us, how do we connect with you? How do we find you on socials? I watch you on YouTube and obviously follow you on Instagram, but you point us in the direction of where we go.
Absolutely. So you can find me on Instagram at this skin I'm in underscore podcast. It's where I'm the most active. I'm also on TikTok, Facebook, X, and YouTube at the skin I'm in podcast, all one word, no spaces. The best way to reach me, honestly, is by commenting on my posts. That way it doesn't get buried in my DMs because
Yeah.
things just go into, the
Yeah.
space that it's, I don't know you and
Yeah.
the algorithm doesn't recognize you, so it just gets buried and I don't see it. But you can also DM me on Instagram if you want. But I love engaging with the listeners. I want to know what you guys want me to talk about. I want to know who you want me to bring and the subjects that really matter to you.
Yeah, look, it is my hope that we get some listeners tune in from around the world. I personally love what you do and you're so good at it. Keep those guests
Thank you.
coming. Chanel, thanks for joining us.
Oh, it's a pleasure.
Cheers.